Hello, hope everyone's doing good today. Today I'm going to do a super quick video on the platinum preppy. So not much that I'm going to say today that will be different from probably the thousands of preppy videos on YouTube. However, I do have some thoughts. I have a selection of preppies here. These can be bought for roughly, like I just checked on the internet, roughly $6 US. In Asia, it's a lot cheaper. I can get them for like $3 or $4, no problem. And I have a selection of colors, and most importantly, I have a selection of their nib sizes. Typically, when you buy a preppy, they are very common in medium, which is a 0.5, 0.5 down here. They are also very common in 0.3, which is the fine. However, it's, you probably have to hunt around a little bit more to get the extra fines. That's what I find. And the other thing about the extra fines is they are usually priced maybe $1 more than the regular. These are the two down here. So, today we're going to be looking at why this is the case, and why I think that the extra fine is actually the pick of the bunch if you're looking for a preppy. And if you like extra fine, I mean, if you're a medium and broad nib user, so be it. But if you do like a nice crisp extra fine nib, I think that these two are the per pound, taking a boxing analogy, the per pound fighter. Not quite sure what's the exact terminology for that. These two are probably perform way above their weight, right? So just gonna take one of these pens and show you the part. So basically, nothing much to it. You have the all these can be interchanged, but you have typically the nib width up here. You have a plastic clip, which for me it hasn't broken yet, but Platinum does have a Prefonte pen, which essentially is similar to the Preppy, except that the clip, the design is slightly different, and the clip is made of metal. So consider that if you're having problems finding a Preppy. The cap is actually where one of the weaknesses of the Preppy lies, in that the plastic being used down here is extremely weak. As you can see, mine has cracked, at least for this black pen. And it's not because of any reason, like whether or not I've used excessive force when closing or anything like that, or even when posting, which you probably have to for this weight of pen, but it's just cracked, right? To me, it's not a huge issue because the slip and seal mechanism, like you can see how it's working up here with the springs, it still keeps the pen relatively wet, and it won't dry out. It's just kind of disappointing that it would actually happen. And I'll talk about one of the ways you can kind of get around that later on. You have the barrel, which lots of people actually go ahead to eyedropper. Essentially what eyedropper means is that they would actually fill up this entire barrel, which it doesn't have a hole at the bottom, with ink. They'll slather some silicone grease on the threads and perhaps put an O-ring at the end, and then basically they would just have this whole barrel filled with ink. And essentially by doing that, you get a massive capacity, easily I would say close to 2 milliliters is not a problem. I don't, I elect not to, and what I've been doing is not to eyedropper rather. And what I've been doing is I've actually been reusing these cartridges, and I find that these cartridges are relatively easy to fill up using a syringe. and they have decent capacity anyway, right? So that's my preferred way of doing it. But if you like the eyedropper, that's an option definitely with this pen. The other thing, just moving up again, the other thing about the Preppy is the fact that the section is very flexible. If you like to hold pens close to the nib, you can do so. If you like to hold further back, you can also do so, because the section is rather long. I would say it's about an inch, about 2 cm or more. And the section is more than 10 millimeters in girth. And that's a very comfortable section diameter for me. Last but not least, the nib, which it doesn't look like much, right? So 03 is actually the fine. It doesn't look like much, and it might even remind you of maybe the Lamy nibs and all that. But I can assure you that this nib performs, way above what it should actually do, looking at the price. So before I do any writing, I want to talk about that plastic being the weak plastic being the limitation of this pen. You can get the plaisir, which is roughly, I would say, 3 times the price of a preppy, and you can easily just interchange, just the section itself, right? So basically, this is a section from, let's say if I take the section from a preppy, this gray one, I can easily slide it into the plaisir and then use it. And essentially what you've done is you've given yourself lots and lots of choices regarding nibs, and you have a much stronger body in the plaisir, right? So that's an option if you find that your barrels or your cap for your preppy has cracked. You can always use it as use the nib unit plus the section as and kind of slot it into a plaisir, and then keep on going, or even another preppy that hasn't cracked before. So let me do some writing. Let me get the pad ready. And I want to show you the various nib performance of the preppy. So basically this is a 05, and this is this one is not inked probably, and let me pick another 05. So this is a medium or 05. So nice and juicy medium. Nothing much to say about that. It's a decent medium, and this is the fine, which is I've slipped the fine in the plaisir. And that's the fine there. Getting a bit confused with all the various bodies. And last but not least, this is actually just double check here, this is actually the 02. And in my opinion, it's probably one of the best extra fines you can get in the market today. I don't care whether or not you have, the best fountain pen, like the highest end range. You'll be hard pressed to find an extra fine that is as good as this one. And you know, I just have a couple of, I have a loom, my looms extra fine, which I've inked up already. And I would say that the feeling of the loom is super, super close to the preppy, right? So I mean, the loom is, it's not, it's probably like a way more expensive pen. You get the same performance with, you know, a pen that's much cheaper in the preppy. The other pen which I wanted to do a comparison with, probably not a fair comparison writing wise, is actually the 3776, right? So it's keeping in the family. The soft fine for 3776, sorry, I'm having problems focusing, is probably the equivalent of an extra fine in the preppy line. I guess it's hard to make an extra fine, right? So and the feeling of the 3776 extra fine, have to be honest, is better than this pen, but not by much. Really not by a lot, right? I mean, this one is soft fine, so you can feel the softness and all that. But this one is definitely the kind of the price fighter that hits above his or her weight. Right, so consider this if you are looking for an extra fine. I, you know, been looking at a lot of fountain pens recently that are actually, you know, maybe higher in the price bracket compared to what people are willing to pay for pens. But you know, definitely look at the preppy. Definitely look at this versus getting maybe a Chinese pen that costs $1, and this is, even though this is like 5 times the price at $5 or $6, I would think that this is actually a way better pen. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.